You go sometimes and you sit there in the dark and you sit there and you're trying not to fall asleep, and
Right.
this was not the case. I mean, pretty much everywhere you went, something was going on.
Well, I love that. I love these things anyway, but that is so amazing. We have to go to break. I'm sorry. It's going to be 2 minutes, and we will be right back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
And we are back. So, we were talking about Mary King's Close and how active that was. Have you ever had a slow night there?
What kind of night?
A slow activity level night.
Not there. I've only been there twice, and one time was very short. So just the one time that I got in there with everybody, so I couldn't really judge it by other nights. But it seems like it's actually, pretty well-known place in Scotland, for that kind of activity, though.
Well, and it was beautiful too. It's not something that you would see just anywhere. It made me think of what they tried to create with Underground Atlanta, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's awesome.
Close.
I mean, even if you just go on the tour, which is really great because they have people in period costume and things like that, and they take you through the whole tour and everything else. The way that I actually met Craig was I had gone on the tour, and I really wanted to ghost hunt it, so I'm standing there, and I see this guy walk by. I said, "Hey, do you know who the manager is?" And he goes, "Yeah, I am." So I just grabbed him. We sat down, started talking, ended up being friends. So.
How long has he been there?
I don't know, actually. He's been there a while. I mean, he's been there. I've been going there for 4 years, so, at least that.
That would be a fun job.
Yeah.
To be able to work in that environment.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's like the general manager, so he's more locked up in the office doing stuff, but, it's a wonderful place. Anybody gets a chance to go there, they have to go there.
Well, I'm planning to, if I get there. Scotland is someplace that I would like to see because even with the violence of their history, there's a lot of romance to it too. And
well, yeah, you can't yell about the violence though so much because you got to remember they were fighting England who was trying to take over their country. So it wasn't like they were just out beating each other up. I mean, they were actually at war. So I got to give the Scottish people that. By the way, that's where my homies are from too, Scotland. So I got to stick up for them.
Oh, I'm German and English and Cherokee. So
Well, you're a mess.
I'm a hodgepodge. And, in the summer, I'm a hot mess. So there you go.
Yes. Well, I'm Scottish and Greek.
Oh,
so
what a
I'm
combo.
I'm like two people that are known for slugging it out with other people. I got William Wallace and then Alexander the Great.
A good combination.
Yeah.
Could be much worse.
Yeah, it could be. But you would love Scotland. A lot of people out there don't know that Scotland was voted the most beautiful country in the world.
I could see that.
Yeah, but it's something that I would never have thought of before I went there because I never really knew what Scotland looked like. But they've got the big rolling fields of green forests. It's just, the lakes, or as they call them, the lochs over there. It's just wherever you go, there's history everywhere. I mean, it's hard to be bored in Scotland.
Well, I imagine for you it's pretty hard to be bored anywhere. You're so interested in everything.
In my house here, I tend to be bored. Once I go outside where there's actual human beings,
right?
Then I'm usually okay. But yeah, you do have to go over there, and I'll tell you some of the places you got to go. Rosslyn Chapel.
Oh, we're going to be talking about that. I was doing some research on that. That is an amazing place.
Yeah, I always stay directly across the street in a little inn. I mean, it's like an 8-room inn, and I mean it's quite old. It's got that whole older country feel to it. Although they've made the new rooms all spectacular, which is really cool. But I have been through the forest, the castle, the gunnery, everything you can imagine at Rosslyn and Rosslyn Chapel. I've been in there so many times, I know every brick in the place. But the history of places like that, I mean, if anybody there has seen the Da Vinci Code, that was where they figured out what the Holy Grail was actually supposedly the bloodline of Jesus. That was this plot of the movie.
Right.
But it's also rumored that that's where the Knights Templar took the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant. So, I mean, it's got some interesting history, and it's got like this big forest around it, which I used to walk all the time, like 8 miles back to where I was staying. So, it's really, really something.
Well, when I was reading about it, I was taken with the stones with the music. I mean, there's actually a score embedded in the stonework of that place too. And
well, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Okay.
When I see you in person, you could just smack me right upside the head, and I'm okay with that.
When I see you in person, I'm going to hug your neck, and we're going to talk for days, so it's all good. But the that music was so fascinating. I got totally distracted from the paranormal history, and I even sent it to the honey hubby because he loves stuff like that too. And I found it fascinating that it took until recently to uncover music from 1400s. And it's cool.
It's the place is interesting because not only do they have that in there, there's so much things that is carved into the inside of the chapel that is fascinating. Like there is on one thing they call the corn, and it looks like ears of corn. Well, if Columbus didn't get to America between 1492 and in 1407 they carved corn, which was not in Europe, 90 years before,
right?
Columbus got over here. But they have corn up in the thing carved into it. Makes you kind of wonder if maybe the Templars hadn't gotten there first.
Well, Oak Island was ahead of Columbus with the legends that surround that. And
well, there's a lot of people supposedly have been here before. Leif Erikson was supposed to be here. The Knights Templar were supposed to have made it.
Yeah.
So who knows?
And or aliens showed them corn. Right? I have friends that would say that was definitely the way that went. And I just find it interesting that you are so taken with that because you go, or you can go everywhere and do everything, and yet Scotland is such a draw for you. I mean, it just pulls
You know, it's
you.
funny. I think I belong there.
I think so too.
I don't know why. I don't know if I died there in my last life or I'm supposed to die there in this one, but there's just, I'm very comfortable when I'm there. I'm at peace. I just walk around and everything is right with the world. You know, and then I must walk over 10 miles every single day when I'm there because I just love walking around and looking at everything, and you know, just my natural curiosity gets me, and then I'm always trying to find another place to sneak in and ghost hunt. You know,
Yes.
so, and I've been to quite a few places that were, you know, really cool.
I just find that amazing and really neat because, I don't know, when you can find some place where your soul's at peace, it's just nice. And you have. Oh, Daniel in chat wants to know if you've been to Aberdeen.
You know what? It's funny. I have not, and that's the first place I want to go next time I go.
So that's going to be a whole new adventure.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to going to Aberdeen. I had looked into the trains to get up to Aberdeen and how long it would take and how much it would cost and everything else, and I really wanted to go, but because I'd injured my leg,
Right.
I kind of had to, you know, not do some of the stuff that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, because it would just, I mean, I really hurt my leg pretty bad. So, I mean, I was really limping everywhere. I actually went out and got a cane, which I used for a couple of days, but I found out I limped better without the cane. Yeah, Aberdeen is definitely on my list.
What is the draw with Aberdeen?
Well, Aberdeen's just another city. It's up farther north. Real pretty. You know, it's funny. All the places that you would go are so much prettier than you would think they are. You know, because you just think, well, Edinburgh, you know, just a big industrial city, but it's one of the prettiest places I've ever seen. Fortunately, I've made friends with people at the Travel Lodge. Now, you wouldn't think the Travel Lodges be that upscale, and to be honest with you, it's really not. But it has some fabulous rooms in it, and there's a hotel right across the street from me called the Balmoral, which is $600 a night.
Right.
And actually, the Rolling Stones were staying there while I was there. That's right across the street. And I guarantee you I have a better view than they do.
Always
because I have this massive place. They always let me in this special room, and it's got like double windows, you know, double sliding windows. So, I mean, I can see all of downtown Edinburgh and the park and everything else. I mean, it's a fantastic view. So, you know, the one thing that I'm so happy about in my life, and I don't know why, but it appears to be my only superpower, is that people have a tendency to just be really nice to me. I don't know why, but I hope they keep it up.
There's a reason for that, Rick.
You know, I'm nice to people, you know, back, but I mean, they just, you know, people just have a tendency to be really nice to me. So I'm, you know, glad that that's my only superpower.
Well, if you have to have one, that's the one to roll with.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And, you know, the Scottish people, by the way, are the nicest people on the planet. A couple of years ago, you know, I got big-headed after my first trip and figured I got this all figured out. I got friends at the Chapel Guest House in Roslyn. I got friends at the Travel Lodge. And so I just set up for 3 days and figured I'd just pop around the country and then just stop into other places. Well, I was there the second day. I jumped on the bus and went out to Roslyn, and I went up to the Chapel Guest House. Said, "Yeah, I want to stay here the weekend." They said, "Oh, we're all full." I was like, "Wait a minute, you guys are never full." And they said, "You don't know what's going on?" I said, "No, what?" She goes, "Well, I just got off the master list for the hotel." She says, "There's not a hotel room between here and Glasgow."
Oh no!
And I was like, "Why? What's going on?" They said, "It's the European Rugby Championship." She says, "And everything's sold out." And I was like, "Oh man!" So I said, "Can you suggest any other place?" She goes, "Well, try this girl down the road, Carolyn." So I called her up, and she goes, "No, I'm sorry, we're all full up." And I went, "Dang it!" And she goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, I saved up all year to come here for 3 weeks. I said, then I've been here 2 days. It looks like, another couple days, I'm going to have to get on a plane and go home.